Yeah, well, welcome to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we talk about comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
If you're
Howdy, howdy.
enjoying our content, remember to subscribe. This week we have jumped further down the rabbit hole. We have read New Avengers 21, 22, and 23. Things are finally coming to a head.
Yes, the trauma dump continues.
The trauma dump does continue. So, last we left, incursion between 616 Marvel and pseudo DC Marvel universe thing. Um, and I honestly I'm gonna say I did not see it coming. I feel like I should have saw this coming, but I didn't. And what I'm referring to is how they destroyed the planet. Like I knew they were gonna use the bomb, but I didn't see them chickening out.
I kind of did. They kind of, in my opinion, build up to that with the emotions that Cap gave off, in my opinion, from the very beginning. I didn't think that they'd be all about killing a whole nother world, considering that their whole mantra is saving people. You know what I mean?
Right, but they were leading up with oh, but you haven't dealt with kings. Like you had that whole Maximus conversation with Black Swan where he was saying oh, you look for heroes and but you never anticipated having to deal with royalty and blah,
I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot to say about that specific bunch of scenes altogether.
Well, why don't you start us off then?
Yeah, get into it, bro.
That one really hit me because when he was talking about you've never dealt with kings, I was like, okay, is he referring to T'Challa? Is he referring to himself? Because he was like, I could be a king, and so I immediately thought okay, he's gonna pull some double crossy nonsense because we've talked about before that he, for lack of a better term, he's definitely got the itchy trigger finger on everything that he does.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I thought he was going to pull some backstabby nonsense. And but then when it showed sorry, I'm trying to think of the name. Give me a sec. Black Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, he's referencing his brother, and then there was the whole bit with T'Challa, and I was like, okay, well, here's another king that lost his kingdom, and this is really he had that whole conversation with with the ancestors in the ancestral plane about how he has to save Wakanda, and then doesn't, so they all disown him, and then Namor, the king of Atlantis, comes and takes over. So it really was truly it kind of living up to what Maximus was saying, how kings can be very unpredictable.
Yes,
I
I get
didn't
that.
really
Yeah.
care for that whole scene with him and his father. I kind of felt like his father wasn't that much of a prick, really, in other medias.
They do make him out to be more of a loving, compassionate king, but then again, you gotta realize he did kill his brother.
That's true.
So I can see it either way. Yeah, but I wasn't expecting Namor to go full on I know he's been kind of quiet lately, and then he came back and was the total prick that we know and love.
Yeah, he definitely played that part really well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely played it really well. Doctor Strange, they finally realized how much Strange has kind of lost himself.
So,
That was a
does
really
the
intense
third
bit.
eye really? I mean, is that his kind of ending, or is that does he ever come around from that?
I mean, Strange is still going on in the comics as a hero, so he's got to be coming around from it, right?
I
Not
would
really.
think so, but you know how comics are. They kind of
They go all over the place.
just because one means something in one comic doesn't mean it means something in the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Shane, you've read a little bit of Doctor Strange books. Have you seen any other
Hmm.
stuff with the Third Eye at all, or not? Haven't read enough.
Yeah, no, in the stuff that I've read, it does open, and like in terms of use, it seems like a bit of a power enhancer because like the Eye of Agamotto can see through like illusions and see through certain things. So he kind of uses his third eye as like an extra channel for his magic.
okay.
And so like normally it's just like this little thing, like a small little bit. This is the first issue that I've seen it where it was like this huge thing because they definitely made it bigger than any others.
Yeah. They were essentially trying to show like how he's kind of pushed himself, to this next limit
Yeah.
where he's gone too far. His friends can't recognize him anymore, like type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they hit that one spot on. I think. Like.
Definitely, I think so. And that issue, of course, ends with Namor blowing up the planet, doing what was needed to be done. And I like that they did that. I like that it was Namor who did it because he's always kind of been kind of at odds with the rest of the Illuminati, especially T'Challa. And it's almost like a bigger insult to T'Challa because he didn't have the stones to do what he needed. Yeah, exactly. He didn't have it. I kind of wish that they made Namor do it as his father's spirit was still kind of on screen. Because he leaves before Namor does it.
Would have been a nice kick in the teeth.
Yes, that would have been really good writing, I think, personally. Not that it wasn't good already. It's pretty decent as it is. Yeah. And then
I was more surprised that they had that moment because like all of them had prepared. I thought like I maybe expected. I expected T'Challa to be the one to do it because he was the only one where I saw like they've all had this conversation of, who's gonna do it, who's gonna push the button, or like we're all monsters, and like Strange and T'Challa and Namor were my bets for being the ones that were gonna be like, yeah, cool, let's just do it and get it over with.
right, and like I was really like leaning towards T'Challa in this moment just because of the issues coming up to this were like showing him talking about how he'll do anything to preserve the city of Wakanda and that
I don't know. To me, Tony was a pretty good qualified person to do it, in my opinion, because of all the things that Cap went through with the traveling through time and Tony being the ultimate one to change the timeline, and I thought it was going to be him, to be honest with you.
it's a very good point. Almost surprised Cap didn't show up in some type of way.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll see that come to fruition eventually.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. The whole T'Challa Namor fight, I mean, it's been coming, right?
I felt like it could have been longer.
Or have some more serious outcomes to it, because I feel like nobody got maimed.
Yeah, they like beat on each other for a little bit. Reed stepped in and was like, "Hey, no, it's over. It's done with."
Yeah.
And then they all just kind of like fucked off. Like I expected more out of that.
Agreed. And maybe we'll see more down the line. I mean, T'Challa keeps on saying he's going to kill him, but he hasn't. So I don't want to say he's holding back. He did get stopped by Reed, but you think if he wanted to kill him, he would have, right?
Yeah, and like going back to what you guys were talking about, like with T'Challa's dad, T'Chaka saying like, "Oh, you are no longer my son. You are no longer a Black Panther. Like I have no son," or whatever the line was.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, that's a little, it's a little too much.
I think so too. I mean, you your son didn't want to commit genocide by the billions, so
Yeah.
you disown him.
But I
And then it
mean,
kind of like
that goes back to like you said. I mean, he was forced to kill his brother. You don't know exactly what he's forced to and expectant of his son, the next king, to do. You know.
That's fair.
I guess it kind of like diminished it for me because it's like moving into the last issue where we have the, you know, I don't know, we're going to get there, but like when we have the incursion countdown, that just like kind of defeated the purpose of that entire dialogue, in my opinion.
How so? What do you mean by defeated? I don't know if I understand.
Sure, no worries. So the entire time, like he was talking about, like protecting Wakanda and saving Wakanda, and you know, he has to be the one. You know, and he was talking with his ancestors initially about,
Right.
you know, blowing up this planet to save people, and his ancestors were like, you know, put Wakanda first. Yes, it's a king. Yes, you're like, you know, yes, things are hard, but like, just deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the same conversation that he had with when he couldn't push the button, and how his they were like, "Oh, you're not saving Wakanda. Wakanda is doomed. You know, you're no longer my son." But then Wakanda's not doomed, so like it kind of defeated the purpose of that entire dialogue because nothing actually happened that they thought was going to happen.
I get that. I mean, like they at that time they think that they're doomed, right? So like they're gonna say these harsh words, and they're gonna say, in relationships will be strained or broken. Yeah, they're dead, and but he's almost like ashamed now of himself, you know? Like he's had that moment where his honor has been stricken and has this stain on it. And to push things even further, Namor is part of the reason that Stain is there. Not only would he not kill the Atlantean, but Namor, that said Atlantean, saves Wakanda in a way. You know?
Okay, I can see it now.
Um, and it's honestly irony at its finest because Wakanda's in a shit place because of Namor.
Yeah.
You know, he's the one who sixed Thanos in Thanos's what order, Black Order. Is that what they're called? Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
on there because he lies about the Infinity Stones being there, which is, but you know, the stones that don't exist anymore. So, um, yeah, but I don't know. The second issue for me, it didn't really have all that much to it other than kind of like fight scenes and some dramatic pauses. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any? You know, I know you take like screenshots. Do you have anything from the second that you specifically wanted to look at?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, but most of the screenshots that I have are of the fight between T'Challa and Namor, and yeah, they both had that line, which I did think was kind of cool. Of, you know, how T'Challa was like, "This is a mercy from me," and
Mm-hmm.
then Namor admitted to like sicking everything on Wakanda, and I, I don't know. I'm waiting for the moment where they fight, and Reed or someone else is not there to stop it.
Right. You kind of want to see something that's going to have lasting effects. Like, both of them are major characters. For them to get seriously injured, put into a coma, or even murdered or killed by the other, that would create some shockwaves in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, the last issue, honestly, probably one of the best we've read yet.
Oh, that was good.
That was wild.
And, like, it was so simple. Just as simple of breaking up it into segments for, like, each member of the Illuminati, basically, and having them count down to the incursion because they've decided that, you know what, we're just going to make our peace. We're not going to stop this anymore. Uh, and every single part was like one thing that stuck out to me. Doctor Strange, Wong, Am I a good person? No.
No.
I saved that one too.
That was pretty good. Um, Another powerful moment where Tony is talking basically to a bottle of alcohol, and he goes, "At least I'd beat you," or something like that. Like makes it seem like he's gonna start drinking, but then he says that like, I at least I have one up on this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. How about you, Al? I haven't heard from you in a minute. What's going on?
So for me, I think the moment I liked the best was going and seeing Reed, having the moment with his children, and then right when it was supposed to happen, you know, it just he talks to his children and explains to them that in my eyes that the end is coming, and then it doesn't. It was just like, and the whole Doom and everything like that, Doctor Doom being there, and it was a pretty cool scene for me.
That was a really awesome scene. Um, so Reed's daughter actually calls Doom Uncle Doom, um, or Uncle Victor.
Yeah, is there a reason for that?
She's just really close with him. In the storyline that I read before of Hickman's, she makes a deal with Doctor Doom, um, and she basically like he helps save the world because of this deal with her, and he just has a soft spot for her. So
Huh.
yeah, it's interesting. It's really cool. Um,
I did get that whole like babysitter kind of vibe because
mhm.
Reed was like oh get out of my way, and then he was talking to Susan, and Susan was like yeah he's just here to see the daughter, and Doom was like yeah it's fine, and I'm like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a whole like relationship with Doom and
Yeah,
Reed like that. It was kind of an interesting interaction for me.
their their relationship over the years has definitely evolved. Uh, One could say like even now it's like they're almost like they're rivals but not mortal enemies.
Right.
That's definitely a plus.
Yeah, right. Don't I mean I feel like Doom would fucking murder him in a minute if he given the chance, but just because Doom does, if Reed was in his way of world domination and like the only way
Oh,
for him,
100%.
yeah,
Doom would
Doom would,
fucking kill him.
yeah. But that
But I
said,
don't
if
think Doom always has that mindset. At least to me, like Doom's kind of like, I've got Latveria, and if you come try and mess with me in
mhm,
Latveria, I'll kill you. But I don't really need other than Latveria at certain points of my life.
right, there's no need for him to mess with you. Um, I have my country. If you come here and you try to do stuff in my nation, like yeah, I'm gonna come and defend it. For the most part, he's just a world leader. He's
Yeah.
just willing to do whatever it takes. You know, so he's where he's definitely a villain. Like I feel like there is a gray area with him where he'll like partner with like Reed or Doctor Strange. Uh, there's a whole story where him and Doctor Strange go into hell to fight Mephisto and get Doom's mother's soul back. It's a pretty cool
That's
story.
interesting.
Hmm.
So is Doom like, I don't know if we've talked about this before. Is he got like an Iron Man suit on, or is he just wearing like old school like knight armor?
Um, I'm sure there's some level of tech to it. It's not just like standard metal. I think at one point maybe it was, but like as time's progressed, he's got tech in it and whatnot.
I mean, I've never read any of this stuff that really explain Doom, so I don't really know
Yeah,
that much of his character.
Yeah, it's not like he's got like a mask on where like the user interface is going to be there. Like in the MCU, we're not going to see a close up of his face with the black screen like you do with Iron Man. Like it's just not going to happen like that. He's, um, but Doom's very much. I think I would say like where he has his tech, he's also very magic based,
Right.
which is strange when you think about it. But he'll cast spells. He's a master of everything. And I think now that this is the second time that something has happened inside or near Doom's castle in regards to the incursions, and I think we're going to start seeing him get more involved, which I hope. I really like that character. I'd like to see him all in the story more.
Yeah, I would like to see more Doom. I think that's pretty cool.
Definitely. And then I not only do I hope we see him, but for the reason of reading Doom in comics, but I really want you guys to get more comic time with him before he shows up to the MCU, because then we can compare, when he's on screen.
I
Oh,
would like to read a Fantastic Four comic line to get a little bit more understanding of those characters.
I think if you check out Hickman's run, you'll get a good Fantastic Four story, and then also it's a nice complement to this. Definitely not required reading for this, but it helps. It gives it more flavor.
Okay.
Um, I want to ask you guys: did you pick up on who that was? Beast was talking to.
It was Young Beast.
It was young Beast. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild moment too. When he was like freaked out and he's like, "Why would you bring me here?"
Like what? Why'd you bring me? I'm just gonna die. Like I have my whole life ahead of me.
Is
Yeah, that was
there
interesting.
how can he do that? I was a little confused.
They use time travel. So like there was a storyline in the X-Men books where the original X-Men came from the past to the future, so you could have like those kind of like to remake the characters almost without rebooting the X-Men book. So you still have like the modern day versions where like you have Cyclops, who is a little unhinged at the moment. Jean's dead, but like now you bring back the original X-Men group, which was Beast, um, Angel, Jean, Cyclops, and maybe Iceman. Was Iceman part of the original group?
He was an original X-Men in one of the lines.
Okay. I think Iceman was part of that. And the reason I say that is this was the storyline where they established that Iceman is actually gay.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans were like, "What? How? He was like a ladies' man like the whole
Yeah.
time." And
Mhm.
they kind of retconned that. And I personally don't have a problem with that. I could care less. But yeah, that was that story. What else happened in this one? T'Challa went to his wife or his ex-wife.
Storm. Yeah.
Yeah, they must have
That was
been doing it
interesting.
real good because it was pouring.
Yeah, she was pretty pissed. There
Uh,
was a backstory there that I'd like to see. You know.
What's
I'd like
their story?
they fell in
I
love, got married. I don't know why they stopped. I don't know enough. I would love to read it
yeah.
though.
Oh, okay.
I know as much as we got out of that comic this week.
Okay, cool. Same here. I'm like, okay, you guys don't get along. Got it.
Yeah, there's some past there. Enough history for them to be able to go and like. I mean, she was half naked in bed. He was standing over. They just got done doing it, and he put his armor back on. That's what I was gathering from that scene.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think were that all the Illuminati members? Did we touch each one?
We didn't touch on Namor yet.
Well, he didn't have a section in that, did he?
He did at the end.
He did at the end.
He did at the end.
Yes, he helped form a group called the Cabal. And do you have the page? Who's in the Cabal, Shane? I'm sure you have that screenshot.
I do. So we have Thanos, Black Swan, Maximus, Namor. Looks like Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, and then I forget his name. It's the dude with his like really big beard.
Oh,
And
he was
Thanos.
he was the Herald of
Oh, yeah.
Galactus on that one planet.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about then. All right.
Yeah, I know who you talk about.
So there's multiple different versions of the Cabal, right? Like there was one with like Red Skull in it. And...
I feel like the Cabal is just like a term for like a group of, right? There's actually, it's not just the name of them. It's
Okay.
a secret
Group.
political clique or faction. So yeah, they're basically just like the Illuminati, but like evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really call them shady, evil fucks in a comic book.
Well, you can. You just gotta tell the kids ahead of time.
18 and plus issue. We got to name this group. Nobody
Yeah.
had good ideas.
That's Robert Kirkman's superhero group. It's a joke. If you guys haven't read The Walking Dead, he likes to use the F word in his comics a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like a lot. But yeah, no. So we learned the reason the incursion didn't happen because Namor again took things into his own hands and saved everybody. Thank you, Namor.
That just sounds weird coming out of the mouth.
Yeah, I'm gonna brush my teeth.
It honestly reminds me of Black Panther, the Black Panther 2, but at the end of it where, the MCU version of Namor was like, yeah, Wakanda's going to be proven to be a good ally. We just have to wait and see what happens. And in my head, I'm like, no, you're shady as shit.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're gonna throw another one of those water bombs at an elderly woman?
He would.
God. But yeah, I think we are finally getting to where I'm like, Secret Wars is almost here, guys. I mean, as you saw, the next comic book has a title across the top. It says "Time runs out," or "Time runs out in like this amount of time." Like. So this is basically the countdown to Secret Wars now. We're at the home stretch.
Now, have you read Secret Wars, or is this like a new thing for you as well?
I've read Secret Wars. I have the book.
Oh, okay.
I read the individual issues as they released, and I have the trade. There is no way I was going to go into a comic book shop every Wednesday and the Secret War comics were coming out and I was going to pick them up.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to wait for the graphic novels and things, or like the whole volumes.
Yeah. So let's talk about next week real quick, and then I kind of want to get into Quantumania, which I won't go too long on it because I know you guys haven't seen it yet. So next week, there are two like sub issues of Avengers 34. So there's Avengers 34.1 and .2. I think they're like side tangents centered around Hyperion, if I remember correctly from like covers.
Okay.
But I could be totally off the mark there. And then so after we're going to read 34.1 and 34.2, and then we'll read Avengers 35.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
We're back on the Avengers book for a week here, and then I think then we have a nice mixing of them for a little. Yeah, we do. So I'm thinking after next week, that's when like Cap starts like interfering with them because they'll have a nice mix of the two books. So yeah. Before we started recording tonight, I said I'm going to talk about Quantumania, and Alex goes, I heard it was terrible, and I said we'll talk about it like that because
hey, I'm only going off what I've heard.
I hear you. I hear you. There
And you're
is
not making me feel any better about it, might I add.
there is a good movie there. There's the makings of a good movie. You have good actors.
Was it
You
fun
you
again, like Love
it's
and Thunder
not
was?
it's not on the same level as Love and Thunder. There are some serious notes that hit.
Okay.
Okay,
But
that's good.
with that said, the script for this movie is dog shit.
Oh,
I
That's not great.
I'm sitting here like I'm like what did she just say? Did they just say that? Did that just happen? What? Not
I mean, I'm
spoiler.
not gonna lie. I've
What?
seen like directors and things like not. This is also spoiler free. I have seen directors and people who have worked on the movie now have come forward and been like, yeah, we really shouldn't have done XYZ, or I wish I would have changed this part. And I'm like, oh, that's the movie just came out, guys.
Yeah, you had so much time to work this movie. This movie was done filming like a year and a half ago. Why didn't you go back and do reshoots? Like, why? Like, I,
I'm
I,
hoping their slowdown in the content really helps them with figuring this trash out.
I hope
Because
so too.
like they're all on this whole bit about we want to put better content out and really tell the story, and it just seems like one after another, the content is just getting worse and worse.
Uh, I want to agree with you, but I also want to disagree with you because there are some things like I really liked Wakanda Forever. I didn't dislike that movie.
I thought it
Um,
was fine. I didn't think it was like amazing, but it was
See,
fine.
I have that in my top 10. Like, I like Wakanda Forever, mostly because it hits those emotional notes really well. Um, Quantum Mania doesn't do anything for me. It. Okay, I want to give an example. It's not spoilers or anything. So, like, at the end of the movie, there's a fight scene.
hmm
Surprise. You know,
Dude, you've completely ruined the movie now. Jesus Christ.
yeah, you're welcome.
How the fuck am I gonna watch a movie knowing that there's a fight scene at the end of a fucking comic book movie?
So,
Shit.
in the scene the scene I'm going on, it's both Scott and Ant Man and Wasp. I'm just gonna do that. So Ant Man and Wasp are going and they're going to siege, basically like Kang's fortress. They're trying to get in. So like he's Giant Man and she's Wasp, and they're going and lasers are getting shot at them. And Scott's taking the brunt of the damage. You know, he's a big target. He's getting shot.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, Wasp screams, "I can't hold him!" And I'm like, "What are you fucking holding? You're doing nothing. You've done nothing this whole movie." Like, oh my god, the movie shouldn't have been called Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm just gonna start with like, ugh, really frustrating.
Ant-Man and sub characters.
It should just been Ant-Man Quantumania.
That honestly just reminded me of something D&D related. It it just pictured in my mind like the barbarian tank taking all of this damage and going after it, and the rogue gets hit once and going, "I need healing."
Heal.
Meanwhile, the barbarian just turns around and is like, "Really?"
Yeah, no, it's a lot like that in that sense where like the characters there's a lot of side character moments that they didn't do anything. However, I'm gonna say this. Hank Pym got a really cool moment, and I was really happy.
Okay.
Okay.
Hank Pym got a cool moment, and I think the plot of the movie is good. Like the actual plot, the story from A to B, getting through this thing, I liked it. I really liked Ant Man's part in this movie. They give him some more serious notes, but he still has the humor because Paul Rudd is hilarious. You know,
But he's able to handle it well.
he
Yeah.
he does. He handles it really well, and I was happy
Good.
about it. And the best thing about this movie, and if he was not in this movie, the movie would suck completely. It was Jonathan Majors Kang. He is fucking fantastic. I can't wait to see him in every single project they're going to put him in. Like, I don't care how many more projects it is. Every time he's going to be on the screen, I'm going to be excited. And I'm not going to spoil the credit scenes or anything, but they set up a lot of stuff with his character. That's all I'm going to say.
That's good.
I think we're gonna probably watch it when it hits Disney. Like, there's just
Yeah, that's
finance
not one of
wise,
the
it's
ones.
not in the cards right now.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's
And I
not one
think
of them ones I'm gonna spend money to go see. I don't think.
with the way that Marvel is slowing down, by the time this hits Disney Plus, you'll be just in time probably to see Guardians. So like you'll be able to watch this and then probably go and see Guardians. I don't think there's going to be a point where like the next project comes out before something hits Disney Plus anymore.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have plenty of time. But yeah,
Well, there you
didn't
have it.
didn't love it, but that's it for us, honestly. I look forward to speaking in detail about the movie with you guys. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Sorry for the rant. Please remember to subscribe and like. Again, I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
And I'm Shane.
This was Comic Book Wednesdays. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.